Welcome to Creative Evolution, the show that gives artists a real plan for a long term career. I'm your host, Josi J. Today we're hanging out with Tommie John. He's an awesome musician who plays a bunch of different instruments, brings people together, and fronts the Tommie John Band. When he's not playing his own solo acoustic gigs or jamming out with his full band, he's super active in our local music scene. He hosts weekly jams, runs live band karaoke, and even acts on the side, usually playing the scary bad guy. In this episode, Tommie opens up about his crazy journey through the music business. He shares why he believes that 90% of your opportunities will come from real in person networking instead of just posting online. We talk about why it's so important to bring people together instead of shutting them out, living by the motto that a rising tide lifts all ships. We also share his fun way of taking classic cover songs and flipping them totally upside down to grab the crowd's attention, and talks about why there are simply no shortcuts to getting real experience. Like he says, sometimes you just have to suck at things until you don't suck anymore. Remember, you have to put miles on your soul to write the real story. Let's start the evolution. Can we do it? I am here with Tommie John himself. Hello, Tommie. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. Everybody wants to know, who is Tommie John? What does he do?
I don't know. I don't know that Tommie John knows. It's a journey. It's constantly shifting. I feel like as I'm getting older in the scene, my role is shifting. I'll probably reference this more than once, but I have what I call, some call it the gift, I call it the affliction. I have to make music.
Yes.
I have to collaborate with other people. It's just what I'm meant to do, and it's all I really know how to do. And because of that, I feel like it's always a bit of a moving target. And as cliche and dumb as it may sound, it really is about the journey. I don't really have a goal in mind other than to, hopefully not have to go work in a factory to pay the bills, which I'm fortunate enough, the past few years to be in that position. It's very much see where the wind blows me, but I do my own thing with the Tommie John Band, and that's part of what I do. And I have my original stuff that I write and I'm real passionate about, but I also play with other artists. I also do cover shows and I do solo acoustic shows and I help produce young bands. And as I'm aging, I think my role is definitely shifting more into being an advocate for others and showing people how to get certain things accomplished and helping people that are deserving of it. Because as you know, so much of the things that happen for you and the opportunities and all that in this business are who you know and your networking and not only who you know, but you developing a reputation as being someone who's pleasant to work with and good to be around and selfless and all those things. And it's the biggest part of it. So, I mean, really, isn't that just kind of at the core of all of it?
It is.
I mean, I think there's a whole new lane of internet artists now who are, many of them are incredibly talented, but they're not playing shows.
Yeah.
They're not getting out there and networking. So it's a very much all your eggs in one basket kind of situation for them, where you hope a video hits on TikTok and then or wherever, and then you try to capitalize on that and keep replicating that same thing. And the second it doesn't, you're irrelevant.
Yeah.
And I think what artists like you and I are trying to build is something a little bigger than that, and honestly something more meaningful than that. Our relationships with each other and all the other musicians in town and out of town that we work with and know are like, that's real. Like that's actually where, for me, the rewarding part comes in.
So listeners, we are blessed to be sitting on the dock.
It's a huge dock, I might add.
It's a huge dock.
I agree.
It is a huge dock, and we're just out here on the lake, sitting in the shade in some camping chairs. It is wonderful out here. It's so beautiful.
It is.
So if you hear some birds in the background, or you might hear a boat go by with people screaming.
There's a lot of kids being thrown off tubes out here.
Oh, yeah, I bet there are. Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous here. How relaxing.
I'm very, very fortunate, and I'll tell you what, I literally mentioned this to someone last night. There's not a day that I'm not grateful, and I could definitely live somewhere cheaper. And as you know, keeping your overhead low is pretty important in this business, but I feel like this is worth it. I mean, the sun sets right off the dock to the west, and it's beautiful every night, and it keeps me kind of like grounded and
grateful.
yeah, and grateful every day. I mean, perspective is everything, isn't it?
It is. It is. And how relaxing it must be to have like a kind of hard day and you just get to come out here and
Yeah.
hang out on the dock.
Drown some worms.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Oh, I'm so pleased to
We
be
got it
with
made. We got it made. This is a nice place to record a podcast.
It is. We have the best jobs.
I like to think so. Well, most of the time I think so. I always joke, I play for free. I just charge to move gear.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Because we love what we do.
If you were a glorified moving company.
Yes. Because that's a big part of what we do is moving gear around, setting up the soundboard. So your bio on your website immediately begins with your fun fact. So tell us about Buddy Guy and BB King. What happened there?
For a while in my 20s, I worked for a big international tech company that we all use their products. And I worked in worldwide events. So I traveled around the world doing trade shows and product releases and you name it, big events. And I also got to work a lot of the music events since that was something that I was interested in. And so I worked stuff like the NAMM show every year in LA and a lot of the big music industry conventions. I think it's an annual thing now. Eric Clapton has a thing he does every summer called the Crossroads Guitar Festival.
Yes.
So I worked the first one with my job. And we had a booth there where we did demos. And we also provided all of the computers for the green room where the artists could log on and check their email or whatever. One of my jobs was to pop in the green room every so often and make sure everybody was cool, make sure everybody's having a good experience with the technology because that's what I was there to support. So I go in there and this concert, if you look up the lineup for the first Crossroads Festival, it was in Dallas. I don't even remember what year, 2003 or 4 or something like that. So I go in the green room and started checking everybody and BB King's trying to log in and check his email. And he had no idea what he was doing. And he was getting up there in age at that time. He was kind of starting to have trouble getting around. And so I asked if he needed any help. And he said, yeah, and trying to log in. And I said, okay, put your username in here. And he couldn't type. So he just told me his username and password. Just
there you go.
It was Hotmail or whatever it was. Well, right about when I was in the middle of this with him, Buddy Guy comes in being loud as he can be. I never expect to be in this position in my entire life, much less in a role with nothing to do with my music career at all. Like, this is just my day job, effectively. And Buddy came, I mean, I don't know what, Buddy Guy. It just, if you've ever met or seen Buddy Guy, you kind of have an idea, but he just came in being loud and asked me a question about something. And I literally had to say, hold on just a minute, Mr. Buddy Guy. Like, I'll have to get to you when I get done helping BB King check his email.
What a bizarre thing.
Is that? Want to hear what happened next?
Oh, I absolutely
Okay,
do.
so BB was there. I don't know who all was in his little entourage. There was quite a few people. But one of them was his grandson, who was maybe 12, 13, cute little kid. And we had a little demo station set up where I would just kind of hang out and like make beats. Because it was just me and I had a guitar and a keyboard. And so we had that all set up and I was running GarageBand and he was really fascinated with it because he was really he wanted to be a rapper or whatever. So I was kind of, he was into it. So I was just kind of showing him like, here's how we do this. And it was about time for BB to go get ready to play. And he could not drag this kid away from this little music workstation that we had set up, this little demo thing. BB ends up going, he's like, I got to go on stage. He's like, will you just bring him like to like the backstage, side stage before my set ends? So I effectively babysitted kid for an hour or two. And that little kid was something too. I don't remember his name. He'd probably be, how old would he be now?
So he'd be in his 30s.
You might be.
If he was 12 then, it's been 20 years.
You're a lot better at math than I am. So might explain my lack of success in this industry. We were walking around through the crowd, and he's like, there's like blonde girls in their 20s, and he's like, "What's up, girl? You know who my granddaddy is?"
Good for him.
It
Good
was
for him.
absolute blast. That was a really surreal week for me, getting to deal with and meet a lot of the people I did. And we were just talking about networking. That did nothing for my career. That was out of reach. That was like beyond my network. But it was super cool being around those folks, and everybody was really, really nice. Buddy is loud, but he's sweet. He's just he loud and can be a little much, but he's very sweet. And I ran into him years later at his club in Chicago. But when I sat in with some friends there, he's nice as can be. That's a surreal moment though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask is, did you ever think that you would be helping B.B. King with his email? Let alone be in his
Of all
email.
things, yeah, like I never thought that I would meet B.B. King and he wouldn't know that I even play guitar. But even if in my wildest dreams, if you told me you're going to meet B.B. King one day, I wouldn't imagine it would be his tech support for email.
Right.
Yeah,
Never.
it would have been my last guess.
Oh my gosh. So also in your bio, you say that you crammed G.I. Joes into your mom's old
Among a
Yamaha.
lot, yeah. I mean, like it was, yeah. I was fascinated with it. I think I mentioned in my bio about like Back to the Future. Like I was 5 when that came out, and I remember seeing it, and it was like, that's what I want to do. That was a very,
Yeah.
very kind of big moment for me, right after Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh yeah. Do you play Eastbound and Down?
I have. It's not on a regular basis, but I mean, who doesn't like Jerry Reed?
Right. Who doesn't like Jerry Reed? And that was the
So
point
many.
movie.
But yeah, I remember Smokey and the Bandit was definitely one of my first, like, real, I had to be cool, like Burt Reynolds, you know, and then Back to the Future. I realized I wanted to play. Mom had this old guitar, and I obviously didn't know what to do with it, and would play with it, play on it, play around it. And eventually, I think I just kind of annoyed them with it enough that they're like, put me in guitar lessons. And then I fell into a very fortunate position there. At Merlin's Music World in Maryville, they just happened to have a guy giving lessons who was a 3-time national bluegrass flat picking champion.
Wow.
And that began a whole chapter for me at, I don't even know how old I was, 7 or 8 when I began that.
That's incredible. Who better to get guitar lessons from?
Steve Kaufman. I mean, one of the best to ever do it.
Wow. That's why you're so good.
Listen, I always say if Steve saw my technique now, he would slap me.
So at that time, did
I
you
got a
know
good
who he
foundation.
was?
Oh no, absolutely not. And I wasn't interested in bluegrass whatsoever. None. But that was in a small town like that. That was what was available. That's who had openings to give lessons, and that's probably what my mom wanted me to play.
Probably.
Probably what my parents were interested in me doing. They probably didn't want me to get into rock and roll. So that's what I got. I did work at it mostly. There's a fish. I did work at it mostly and got a really solid technical foundation. And I learned how to read music as a very small child. That's another thing he'd be really upset with me about. I struggle to read standard notation today. But anyway, I got a very solid foundation, and that allowed me to reach a point where I could figure things out. I could transcribe things for myself. And he taught me a lot of, when he'd write a lesson, it would be, here's the lead part, here's the chords, and we would sit down to go back through, recite last week's lesson, and we would take turns, and I would comp, and he would solo, and he would comp, and I would solo.
That's awesome.
And it really set the foundation for me in a great way that translates well to what I do today, even though what I do is definitely not bluegrass. I still love bluegrass, but
what I love about bluegrass, though, is there are so many components in bluegrass that you find all over rock music.
Yeah, well,
especially metal.
To me, getting into the things I'm getting into now, I find the most parallels with jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the instrumental bluegrass, because the form, kind of the way things lay out and the way the musical conversation happens are very similar. You come in, you play the head, you play the melody, you hand it off, you trade out solos, and you come back and play the head and you complete the song. And that's kind of how traditional jazz works. It's real similar in the way that's laid out. And the thing to me with the way I operate with my band, it's valuable. It instills the skill of listening,
Yeah.
And kind of being like head on a swivel. And you're always doing so much more than just playing your part on your instrument. You're listening to what the next person's doing because it might be your turn next. And they might be saying musically, not even looking at you, they might be saying musically, okay, I'm wrapping up my solo. And so you can't just be head down drilled into playing your part. You got to be a part of the team. There's a whole lot of parallels between bluegrass and all that. And like you said, rock and all that stuff too. But I really found it most valuable getting to playing jazz with other people.
That makes perfect sense. And honestly, I'm not like a huge bluegrass fan, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I love jazz. I'm surprised that I haven't put that together yet.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely
It
right.
works in very similar ways.
So when did you realize who Steve Kaufman was?
Probably, it's hard at that age, when it's someone you know. I would walk from the side of the store where they had the rooms with the lessons and go over to the retail side. And there's like 50 instructional books on the rack with my guitar teacher's face on them. And I don't know how much that sank in at the time. I think I definitely got a little older. He does a camp at Maryville College every summer. It's called the Kaufman Camp, and brings in some real top-notch instructors. But then years later, he owned the Palace Theater in downtown Maryville and kind of made that into a little music venue and like ice cream and coffee shop. And I went there and ran sound for him for a couple of years. I think it really sunk in probably about that time. That was in my 20s when I wasn't on the road doing the tech work. He would have some names in there that mean something to anyone in the guitar, like people like Tommy Emmanuel, like lots of people know who Tommy Emmanuel is.
Yeah.
That's a name that transcends genre. And so I think it really kind of started sinking in because they would all ask him to sit in.
Yeah.
He would trade licks with them. And it was hard to have perspective on that as a kid when I'm right next to him, especially in a genre that I wasn't that interested in. I just wanted to rock when I was a kid. That was all my real interest was. But yeah, definitely seeing some of these super famous people come in and be so respectful of him and see the way they interacted with him. That really set it home for me. Like, oh, like this dude is
The real deal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like respected by the best of the best. And he's a great guy. He's also hilarious. I don't think he plays around town a whole lot anymore, but if you ever get a chance to see Steve Kaufman live, he's one of the best pickers ever. And he's also it's entertaining. It's a very fun show as well.
Check him out, listeners.
Yeah.
Don't do it right now, but when we're done, write that down.
Play one of his tracks here. Insert Steve Kaufman flat picking tune.
So you wanted to rock instead of playing bluegrass, but that's what you learned. So what was that tension like moving from bluegrass into what you wanted
with
to
Steve? It was interesting. So I think we did like 3 lessons a month would be him teaching me Cannonball Rag or Orange Blossom Special or Wildwood Flower. And then 1 lesson a month, I got to bring in like something on tape, on cassette tapes at that point in time. Some that I wanted to learn, and he would flip his guitar over and take his notation pad and write it out for me. And so I tried my best to bring in stuff that was acoustic based. Even at that age, I kind of had a sense of understanding as to what would translate well to solo acoustic versus just bringing in loud stuff. And it's probably a few years into me taking lessons. So we're talking like 91, 92. So I remember bringing in like a Red Hot Chili Pepper song that was acoustic based.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to play the other stuff that was on that album, but I brought in the acoustic song because I knew he would chart that for me. I don't know that he would have charted some of the other stuff, but it was interesting. I didn't really get the sense that he loved it, but he wasn't discouraging of my journey. And eventually he handed me off to another teacher to kind of get me started in that, which was super self-aware and selfless and mature of him to go,
Yeah.
you want to go
a different direction.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is the guy that'll take you that direction. That's
So
beautiful.
he kind of handed me off to another instructor at the same place. And then that guy showed me a couple of like pentatonic scales, and it was off to the races after that. I mean, with the technical foundation I had, and then like just being shown a little bit of some blues licks, it was, I took off after that.
Yeah. I'm sure
I
it
became
did.
pretty good pretty fast.
So you were a sideman for other artists for years before
Yeah.
Tommie John Band formed in 2011.
Yeah.
What kept pulling you back to other people's projects? And your goal had always been to have your own band.
So I don't know. I'm not sure that my goal was always to have my own band. I mean, I always wrote and I always had that drive to do my thing. And I mean, given the company that I worked for, I had the tech as soon as it was available to, have a home studio. And so I always did that, but I never really, especially in a town this size, especially traveling for work the way I did, I had trouble finding like-minded collaborators. I was writing and doing stuff that was kind of unlike things that other people were doing. I was really into like Jeff Buckley and stuff that wasn't really so much like down the middle of the mainstream thing. I just really loved collaborating with people. And I'll tell you the way it really began. I had played here and there, and I had an original band that had opened up for, I don't know if you know Matt Woods, who's a local artist. You should have him on the show for sure. He'll be phenomenal. So his girlfriend at the time owned a bar called The Spot in West Knoxville, which is now gone, but it was super fun. And I looked like I was 30 when I was 16. So I was going in there underage, and I got my band booked there. And so we were playing on and off, and I was hanging out till 3 a.m. drinking with these older musicians and networking and sitting in with them. They had bands all the time. Shout out to Gina Truitt. The Spot was an awesome place that we all miss. It was a great networking spot for everybody, and I got to know everybody. And eventually, simply through necessity, I began playing a lot of bass just to be able to record the parts that I wanted to hear on my own music. It just was a lot easier for me to buy a bass and do it than to bring a bass player in and try to explain to them what I wanted. So I became pretty fluent at that. And then I was playing guitar in another band, and then we did an out-of-town show. I filled in on bass instead of guitar, and we opened for a band. Long story short, somebody was like, "Oh, I see what that bass player is doing." But I didn't see myself as a bass player at all. I was filling in. And the next thing you know, I'm on tour with Matt Woods.
That's awesome.
As a bass player. And then it was almost like I blinked, and 2 years later, no one in town knows who I am anymore because I've been on the road, and everyone thinks I'm a bass player. So I'm not going to say I had to start over, but I kind of derailed my own
Trajectory.
reputation.
Yeah.
Honestly, like out of, no, I won't say necessity, but out of wanting to keep the wheels turning and the money coming in, and through the breadth of experience with different genres I had, like we were going through with the lessons and stuff, I've always been pretty adept at hopping into different styles with different artists and playing appropriately, I think, and serving the song and being tasteful. So I just kind of, in a way, just did a lot of hired gun stuff where this band's going on the road for a couple weeks. They pick me up for this or whatever, session here, whatever. So there's a lot of that for a few years. And then in, I think, 2009, I joined a little acoustic trio called Homemade Wine that was playing out of the Prince Deli in West Knoxville. And they had booked a show. I think they booked a show at the Raleigh Parrot Club, and told them they had a band, and like got into a contract for what was at the time to us like a pretty significant amount of money, and promised a band that they didn't have. If you know Todd Sheely, Todd's a phenomenal photographer. He's actually come out here and taken some pictures of me and the dog on the boat. Shout out Todd. Lazy Eye Nomad is his socials. He's an incredible person. But Todd called me. He knew me from The Spot through that whole Matt Woods, like that whole circle of people. And he knew that I was pretty well connected and asked me to complete their band and bring myself to play lead and a bass player and a drummer to play this one-off show that they'd booked where they promised a band they didn't have. Well, I had been kind of the musical director for a modern country artist. I wasn't particularly into the music, but I've been doing that, and we've been doing like festivals and only bigger stuff. I did a couple of big opening slots at like Cotton Eye Joe for sold out crowds for big national idols, and it had some tunes on the radio and then some recordings, you know, at the top notch studios in Nashville. But I basically brought the drummer and bass player from that project to do the homemade wine show. And that went really well. And the next thing you know, we recorded an album and we're on tour full time. I'm talking
Wow.
like nonstop. And we pretty much did the whole eastern seaboard for 5 or so years. I mean, we went west a little bit, but I mean, mainly like from Vermont down to Key West. And we would spend weeks at a time in Key West. And then eventually I left that band and kind of went back to a little bit of the hired gun thing. And in the midst of that, when we'd be home a little bit, I would book some Tommie John shows. And I was just a sideman with Homemade Wine.
Yeah.
I did sing lead on a few songs, but I was, you know, a lead guitar player and always had the itch to do my own thing. So I finally split from that, and I'd kind of already gotten the ball rolling with my name, doing my own thing. And I mean, I continue to this day to do sideman spots and fill-ins and hired gun stuff with other people. But from that point until here, my thing has been my main thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but I've done some acting, like as a side thing.
Really?
I mean, it's a pretty natural thing for a musician to do as a side job, but it's super fun, but it's a whole different skill set. Some of us are kind of acting on stage. You might be sort of playing a role, but yeah, doing it with all the cameras in your face. And the toughest thing for me initially was don't look at the camera.
Yeah. You're not
But
supposed
it's
to
like
look
it's
directly
moving
into it.
right behind the person you're talking to.
Yes. So it's hard not to.
Yeah. Some of these true crime shows, I'm in like pretty much every one of them, and they'll call me for roles. You can imagine the roles I get offered just based on the way I look. So I get like, we need a biker who sells drugs, if you're okay with that. And what I'm coming to understand is, I guess there's a lot of people who don't want to do
Those type of roles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get that. I get we need a bouncer at a strip club. I get that one a lot.
I love it.
I get all those roles. They're like, we know exactly who to call for this.
Tommie John.
Yeah.
Who's big and scary that we can call? Who looks intimidating?
It's ridiculous.
And you're just a big teddy bear. You're so sweet.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, they're like, this circle will take this role.
Yeah, right? Right. He will definitely take this role and kill it. Yeah, you'll have to send me some.
I got a bottle busted over my head in one. That was pretty fun.
Did they use a sugar bottle?
Yeah, but the first take, the girl had never used one before. She was late getting there. She's like the star of the thing. She was the murderer. And she hit me with the corner of it. And it like legitimately rung my bell. So the walls are made really thin on those.
Yeah, but not the top and the bottom.
She didn't get briefed on that and caught me with the corner, which is still pretty thick, you know. Hit me hard. And I'm pretty sure that's the take they used. I've got the footage. I'll show you. I'm pretty sure it was it's a natural reaction. Yeah. Like, okay, damn, that hurt.
I bet it did.
So immediately after I reacted, the director was like, cut. He's like, honey. He's like, have you never used one of these before? And she was like, no.
Bless her. I'm sure she wasn't expecting him to knock you out.
We got it. Her and I have a great picture of like we're posed together and the blood's streaming down the front of my fake blood is streaming down the front of my face. We're just both smiling.
You're just like, she knocked me out.
Shout out Alina in Atlanta.
Hello, Alina in Atlanta. Thank you for almost knocking Tommie John out and giving him this awesome story to tell us.
Ridiculous.
Well, what do you think about listening to some independent music?
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Can we do it?
Welcome back. Thank you so much for introducing us to some new artists. That is incredible. So you run a Tuesday night jam at Rogers Place, assist with the Springbrook concerts, and run sound for Hippie Jack concerts on top of your own shows.
And I do live band karaoke.
Yes,
From
karaoke.
City Hall. Yeah.
Yeah, which is so awesome. We have so much fun there.
Doing it tonight.
How did building that kind of community infrastructure become part of your career strategy?
Well, part of it, like we were talking about with the networking, you get to where, especially, I mean, every town kind of becomes a small town when you're in the music scene the way we are,
Yeah.
when you're playing every night. But really just through getting to know everybody, and to give you an example about how those things came to be, this is my 10th year at Hippie Jack's. I run sound there, and I help with like the stage production and just make sure everything runs smoothly, make sure this artist knows where to load in, when, what time they go on. And this year we did some of the shows were live broadcast on PBS. So DBS brought in the broadcast truck, and so we had to send him a feed. They brought on all the cameras, and we did all that. But I didn't move into that role as an engineer or whatever other hat I may wear there by a job application or anything like that. I went there as an artist 10 years ago to play, and it wasn't a big festival. It was one of the smaller things they do. But the guy who was supposed to come run sound, like his car broke down, or he called in. Anyway, there was going to be no show. Jack just got up on the stage with no microphone and went, we don't, like, no one here knows how to operate a digital mixing board. So he's like, unless somebody in the audience does, there's no show. I was there to play. There's multiple artists on the bill, and so I just hopped to it and started micing stuff up, and I ran sound for it, and then played my set, and it was over. And he just said the artists really enjoyed the way you interacted with them, the way you treated them with respect, and made their experience a priority. And he basically just said, do you want to just come back and keep doing this? So
That's awesome.
10 years later,
here we are.
Yeah. And I thought I was just going there to play a gig.
Right.
And then you have a whole new community.
You also have the Springbrook.
Right. And it's an excellent transition. So I've met some really incredible, like, rising independent artists through that Hippie Jack's thing, which is in Middle Tennessee. We just had the festival this past Memorial Day weekend, and they come across some incredible up-and-coming talent. And I happen to host a concert series in Springbrook Park every summer called Songs by the Brook. And I brought a couple of them in this year, which is just an incredible way for everybody to kind of share, to share our gifts, and to share who we know, and to share, our contacts, and just expand our network. But I'm not doing it solely for that. I mean, the couple artists that I have this year, one's Elijah Wyatt, who is absolutely a natural born superstar. He's phenomenal. And Cherokee Hope, who's a young singer-songwriter who has the absolute it factor, star power as well. I really believe in both of them.
Yeah.
And beyond that, I really like both of them as human beings.
That'll always get you further.
Yeah.
Being a good human being.
They are people who I enjoy just sitting around and talking to, on top of incredibly enjoy hearing them on stage. And at this point in my career, people did it for me when I was younger, and I wouldn't be where I am without that kind of help. And I feel like it's the least I can do, and they deserve it.
Yeah.
They do. And hopefully any little thing I'm able to do to help expand their footprint and their brand only elevates everyone.
Yeah. It's wonderful that you choose not to be a gatekeeper. You really want to push other artists out there and help them get the opportunities.
Yeah.
That somebody that knows somebody, and you make the connections. That's beautiful.
Jack always said something along the lines of, you're not actually getting any taller when you're just standing on the shoulders and pushing others down to get there.
That's exactly right. We don't have to put each other down.
Right.
We could have so many beautiful things if we would work together like that.
Well, they say a rising tide lifts all ships.
Mm-hmm.
Appropriate.
Very appropriate. So you perform solo during the week and with the full band on weekends. How do you manage those two very different performance modes?
Yeah.
And what does each one give you that the other can't?
Well, I'm not going to say I dislike the solo shows. It's difficult sometimes to find the sort of fire when it's just me. I know what I sound like. I know what I do. I know what it sounds like when I play. So and I do enjoy that. And I do. Ultimately, I found that what I get the most value out of is being able to do what I do in front of people who are seeing it for the first time.
Yeah.
I love seeing the reactions and the impact when I do things that no one would look at me and expect me to do. So there's always that element with the solo shows that's interesting, and I get to go play in touristy places like Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg where I get that experience, and that's super nice. But there's also something really special about being on stage with my guys, and the way we operate is not super rehearsed. It's all very loose, and so much of what happens is improvised in the moment. And so nothing ever happens the same way twice.
Yeah.
And having people to bounce ideas off of, and the rhythm section might suggest something rhythmically while I'm mid solo, and catching onto that and incorporating that. And then us all kind of weaving in and out of these different ideas and staying on the same page is a whole different level of reward for me. You don't always kind of achieve that ultimate highest tier of accomplishment. You know, you're kind of chasing it every night and hoping you touch it. And I always say it's a little bit like gambling. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like you don't really hit the jackpot every time, but you win just enough to keep you putting your quarters in,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, exactly. We're doing a podcast here. Are you jet ski people?
How dare they?
How dare they come to your lake on this day?
What if we did the podcast on a jet ski next time?
Be perfect.
With Kenny Powers.
Be cool if we both had cameras and mics and 2 jet skis.
Oh man. Yeah, because we could like go to Naughty K's. We could record an interview the whole trip down.
And then get footage in the bar.
Yeah, exactly. Then continue the interview in the bar.
That'd be cool.
We'll have to do that. Maybe not on a jet ski. We'll take my boat next time.
That sounds like a better idea.
We'll take my boat next time.
So you were a contractor in the tech industry and traveled overseas for trade shows where you would book solo gigs on your days off.
That's true.
How did that period shape the way you think about hustling for opportunities?
Oh man. Like, so that was always like, I'd be in any random city, Paris, right, for work. And fortunately, most of those trade shows would be like the same event would happen every year.
Yeah.
You know, the same week and in the same city. So you just get to make friends. And eventually, you know, it'd be, they'd say, oh, I have a friend playing an acoustic show here or whatever. And we'd go and I'd maybe sit in, and then you network. You know, you get to know people. And so maybe I'd say, let's set something up for next year so I can have a gig here. And that's exactly how it happened, you know, in multiple places. And I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's been some real interesting experiences, especially kind of playing for audiences who, you know, who's this guy?
Who is this?
You know, I might not be necessarily, I didn't have like my pick of venues. You know, it was just always through somebody, you know, I knew who knew somebody. So I might not be the kind of product they're used to seeing, or, you know, or the kind of music they're used to having, but I got a gig. Where was I? I can't even remember. Amsterdam, maybe? Through hopping up at karaoke one night.
I love that.
And then like the bar owner just started talking to me, and like we're doing another, and you know, the next time I'm there, I've got a solo gig. And
how long were you in Amsterdam?
It would normally just like a week or so at a time, whenever, I mean, you know, once a year or however it would shake out with work. But I did a few times. I had some good friends in England, and so a few times, like, you know, the company would pay for my flights to and from. So if I didn't have anything to do for a week, I would just call and get my return flight delayed.
Oh, nice.
You know, and just hang out and kick it with friends and play and network.
That's cool. You've lived a very interesting life.
It's really surreal at times. Thinking, like, I never go back and think about stuff like this. So it's kind of surprises me where it dredges up some of these memories.
It's beautiful that you get to reflect. That's what life's all about.
Sorry, that water bottle's way loud.
You're good. So the Tommie John Band does songs nobody would ever expect to hear you play, and you turn the classics completely upside down.
It's my favorite thing to do.
Yes, mine too. I like playing things completely different than they ever do. How do you build a set list strategy around that philosophy? And how do you know when a song is worth doing it your way?
Okay. Well, one of the ways I know if a song is worth doing my way is playing it at those solo acoustic gigs where very few people are paying attention.
Yeah.
And if I try it out and all of a sudden all the heads turn around, it's a pretty good sign.
Yeah.
And a lot of songs, not all, but a lot of songs kind of get filtered through that and make their way up to the band. But to answer your question about how I go about building a set list for what works, I don't. I just have a list of 400 some odd songs or more at this point that I've kind of amassed over my career that I can pull out at any time.
Yeah.
And that's just covers. So I have a lot to choose from. So if I'm doing a cover show, nothing's ever planned. I mean, it's all very in the moment. It's all right. What was that last one like? Did it work? Did it not work? Do I want to keep it there? Do I want, do I want to switch it? Do we want to keep them dancing or, but it's just having the experience behind me, and failing at that enough times.
Yeah.
You can't help but get better, right?
Exactly. Because you see what works and what doesn't.
I tell people all the time, I tell my students this. There's a lot of things you can YouTube University, and there's a lot of things you can find little shortcuts and workarounds and life hacks, but there is no shortcut for experience.
No.
That's the one thing that you just absolutely, you can't shortcut it. There's no life hack for having experience.
Yeah.
And you know what? I tell my students this too. Some things you just have to suck at till you don't suck at them anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Honestly, yeah.
You have to be willing to go through it if you want it, if you really want to get there, that's the only way it goes.
That's how you have to do it.
Yep.
Sometimes you have to take that hard way.
Yep.
What does your revenue model look like working as an independent musician, and what have been the most reliable income streams?
Well, I do quite a few different things. As we talked about, I've got my solo acoustic gigs. I've got my band. I do the little bit of sound engineering here and there. I do session work. I host the concert series.
Mm-hmm.
I do acting. I do lessons. I might do a hired gun gig where I fly out and play for somebody out of town. It all keeps coming back to the networking.
Mm-hmm.
It all keeps coming back to, it doesn't happen often, but in the winter it does every now and then. There might be a weekend where I'll look at the calendar and I go, I don't have anything scheduled. And it's normally not more than one or two text messages where I hit up a couple people and go, hey, I'm free.
Yeah.
And boom, the calendar's full. But there's not a lot of, how do I put it, like consistency necessarily to my revenue model other than just having enough different potential streams of income that I'm able to put more effort into, into this one this month or whatever's needed to do. And like we were saying, it's kind of always a moving target in a way. But it's been rewarding for me to do the things like the jam and the karaoke gig and the private lessons, which I call music mentorship. I'll get to that in a minute. But as I get further down my path, I'm finding that I oftentimes would rather do something that's more rewarding like that than do something that pays a little more.
Yeah.
Like hosting those jam gigs and those collaborative gigs isn't the most lucrative gigs I do, but they do the most for me on a spiritual level.
Yeah.
Helping other people climb the ladder or get that experience.
Yeah.
They can't shortcut.
And you even go as far as people that are just regular everyday people that are not musicians, like with Rockayoke.
Yeah.
With Rockayoke, you let anybody that has the guts to get up there
Sure.
put in for a song.
Yep.
And you play it and they sing it.
Absolutely.
They're living out their rock star dreams.
Yeah.
In downtown Knoxville.
Well, and we've seen people that, some of the people that come out and do that are really, really good. We've had a couple that have we've put in touch with bands like, hey, I know a band who's looking for somebody who does what you do and you'd be great for it. And that's a really cool kind of place to be because, like at the The musicians jam I host on Tuesdays, that's more players, you know, and there's often not really much of a spot for people who just sing, you know? So it's nice to have somewhere to sort of redirect them to if need be and go, you know, this might not be the right exact place for you to get started doing this, but now I have this other thing that'd be perfect for you. Let me get you in there.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you start at that level. So it's been really good.
I'm very jealous of how fulfilling it must be to be able to give all these other people that kind of platform.
It is. And well, to that end of things, you know, one of the things that I do that I've really, really found fulfilling is, like I said, what some people would call lessons.
Yeah.
I call it music mentorship because I didn't have anybody when I was starting out. If I wanted to know how to book gigs or how to book my first tour or how to order merchandise or how to get a website built or, you know,
Yeah.
I didn't have anybody. So I just had to trial and error this stuff and, you know, and fail. And I think about how much further I could have gotten along quicker if I'd had anybody who had been there, done that, who, you know, was willing to help me with that. So not only do I give lessons at the instruments, but it's having somebody, we might have a week where we don't touch an instrument during our lesson.
Yeah.
We might talk about how to have more efficient rehearsals. We might talk about how to make charts, you know, that professionals can interpret, and you know, how to maximize the effectiveness of your communication, and you know, just who knows what it might be. But it's a whole career.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of things that
goes into what we
to
do.
learn. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've realized a need for some of these younger artists could really, you know, have I don't know, kind of have a leg up, you know,
Yeah.
kind of not have to go through all the trial and error that I did. So I'm finding that to be extremely rewarding, you know, on a deeper level than just giving somebody guitar lessons or
Yeah. What is one piece of advice that you would give to a young musician just starting out in the East Tennessee scene today?
I feel like we're developing a theme here today because it's networking.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. And it's funny. You were probably on your way here. It was this morning. I was on Reddit and somebody was asking some question. I just typed a response this morning where I said, if you're serious about this and you really want to do it and you're not out talking to people and genuinely making friends, not faking it, like for real making friends, you know, and going to support people, going to other people's shows, sharing your music with people, sitting there with people, meeting venue owners. All that. If you're not doing that on a regular basis, you're really doing yourself a disservice. You know, if you're not playing live and being out watching other people play live, and you're really kind of holding yourself back.
Yeah.
Because I mean, most of the gigs I have ever gotten have been, you know, somebody's seen me somewhere, met me, you know, they own a venue, or they know somebody who owns a venue. And even the sort of quote random emails I get from some place that I've never heard of that wants to book me, that's because word of mouth, somebody recommended me.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I mean, what would you say? 90% of it in some form or fashion, at least in some form or fashion. If you're working on this independent level and you don't have agents and publicists and all those mouths to feed, you know, the vast majority of it in some capacity comes through some connection you have.
Yeah.
So why not make that a priority?
Yeah.
You know, as much as the music.
It definitely does. It's a huge part of it. And like you've said throughout this entire interview is networking, which is it's wonderful advice to give anybody just starting out.
And I didn't even come into this interview with that in mind as a plan. It just has materialized
Yes.
through the course of our conversation. I mean, it is.
It's what you
Dang,
did
you're everything.
say, and it's what somebody out there needed to hear.
Sure, yeah. And if you're in this area and you don't know where to start, get in touch. Get in touch with me.
Yeah.
Come out to one of the jams. That's what those are made for.
Mm-hmm.
That's what those are made for. Come in not knowing anybody, sit in with some people, you know, make some friends.
Yeah.
I've seen so many bands form out of these jams that I host. Somebody sits in with somebody and it goes really well and they want to do it again. And I spend plenty of time. I get multiple messages a week. Somebody going, "Hey, my bass player can't make it Friday. Who do you recommend?" And I mean, all the time, I'm recommending people for gigs. And that doesn't happen through them sitting at their house hoping.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Get out there, get your boots on the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think about listening to some more music?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Can we do it?
Welcome back. Welcome back. So, Tommie, before the musical break, before the music break,
Break of music.
the break of music, yes. You talked about how you were in tech, you ended up with BB King, and you also talked about being a sideman there with other bands and how you had to reestablish yourself.
Yeah.
Looking back, was that a detour or was it exactly what you needed?
It was both. Here's me again giving terrible answers directly. It was both. I grew so much as a musician through all those experiences with all those other artists. And that's how I really came to develop a mastery of the language of music and the taste, you know, to be appropriate for the moment. And develop the skills that honestly have continued to pay my bills.
Yeah.
Regardless, if I don't book anything with my own project, I can stay pretty dang busy with people asking me to help out here or fill in here or, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still in a bunch of different projects, but, you know, it was a lot of help in that way. In another way, I certainly could have been working on my own thing a lot earlier and had a lot clearer vision.
Yeah.
And been actively making steps towards what I wanted to see happen in that regard. But to be completely honest with you, I don't think I really had the confidence, you know, in my mid-20s to looking back, I should have. Like if I could give myself any advice at all, it would have been, you know, this stuff you're doing is great.
Yeah.
People do want to hear it because I would record something and then listen back to it and go, nobody like, I like it, but I don't think anybody else is gonna.
Well, we are our biggest critics.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is I don't know that I would have had the confidence to really push that the way I could have.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that big a detriment in that department. I think touring with those guys, aside from the growth musically, the growth in confidence,
Yeah.
you know, and being part of a project like that where we had a very engaging front man took a lot of the pressure off me in that department. And I was able to be an upfront personality as a sideman. Like I'd sang lead on a few songs and had my own kind of like mini set during the shows. But that was a great way for me to build confidence in front of these crowds that were there to see us and bought our albums and knew the words. And
no better feeling.
Yeah. And then that way, when I stepped from there into my own career, I didn't lack for confidence at all. I had done hundreds of shows to build my way up to that. And that's all thanks to Todd Shealy, who made that first call to get me to help them out on that first Homemade Wine show. And that's all back to the networking.
Yeah.
You know, and it's how it all goes around, right?
That's certainly true. So you write songs and then change your mind and never release them.
Don't we all?
We do.
There's like one keeper for every 10.
Oh, if it wasn't for the band telling me, yes, it's good, we would have never released anything.
Well, and everybody always says you don't, you never finish a recording project. You just quit at some point.
Yeah, there's that
and your care that's good
internal,
enough and you give up.
yeah, there's that internal battle
Yeah.
that we have as creatives, creating something and putting it out and
Yeah.
really putting ourselves out there.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah.
It's really scary. And I think it's important that people get out and play in front of people and let other people hear stuff and build that confidence, because it just snowballs once it begins, you know.
It definitely does. What has been the hardest part of sustaining a career as a full-time independent musician, and how did you work through it?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, in short, winter
Yes. Yes, because people don't want to get out.
around here, well, the gigs just get a lot more sparse. I'm not doing the outdoor, the patio gigs, the marina gigs, a lot of the festivals, all that stuff kind of dries up in the winter. And being able to find stuff like session work, and we'll get into it in a little bit, the thing I do with my lessons slash mentoring, really being able, figuring out how to diversify and navigate through the needs to not have all my eggs in one basket, have multiple streams of income, and to be able to pivot. And, that's on the actual tangible side, the toughest part. I think on the intangible side, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, I always think about this. I tell people this all the time. The toughest part of the business for me, as far as when you're actually on stage, is creating your own energy when there's none in the room.
Oh, yeah.
And fortunately, that happens to us less and less as we get further down the road in our careers. But it happened to me last weekend. I played a show where it was a big crowd and they were all there to party. And it was at a season kickoff party for raft guides up on the river. Like, they live there all summer.
Yes.
And this, just to start off the season. And really, the problem was we started too early.
Yeah.
Honestly. Like, we started at 8 and we should have started at 9. They just weren't cranked up yet.
Yeah.
In the first set, I'm looking at the guys, I'm like, do we suck? Like, I feel like we're playing great. Like, I felt like we sounded great. And nothing. And I actually called a set break early.
Yeah.
Like, we gotta
Regroup.
we gotta figure out what's gonna hit, like what's gonna work, what's gonna, what kind of vibe do we need to be putting out to draw them in. And it was still daylight.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, as soon as the sun went down and they got a couple drinks in them and got loosened up, we played a couple more songs that were right up their alley. It was game on. And they were all right up front singing along. And we ended up having one of the best audience reactions I've had in a long time. We got encored multiple times, got them all participating, and it really lit off. But if you looked at video from the beginning of that show to the end of the show, it looked like two different audiences. And it's so tough for me personally. It might not be for everybody. I mean, we both know artists. I'll mention J Storm.
Oh, yeah.
Who just bring it 1000% every single time, whether there's anybody cares or not.
Yeah.
I'm not like that.
Oh, he's all the way in
And
every time.
yeah, I don't have whatever bone that is that he has that makes him able to do that. I'm much more sensitive in that regard.
Yeah.
And so that on stage end of things, having to create that energy and having to draw them in is the biggest challenge for me. And that's something that I'm constantly working on.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to. And we have to know how to adapt.
Doing an opening spot.
Yeah.
If that crowd's there to see the other band, you might not get the reaction that you're able to get.
Oh, yeah.
And you gotta go home and not be too hard on yourself.
Yeah, you can't be too hard on yourself. So after over 1,000 plus shows that you've played, what does one of those bad nights look like, and how do you handle it?
You want the honest truth?
I do.
Most of the quote, I mean, let's be honest. My worst day at work, playing a gig, is better than a lot of people's best days. I don't want to name a profession because I don't want it to sound like I'm shitting on anything in particular, but come on. My worst day with a crowd that doesn't really care ain't that bad.
No.
And most of the time when I have audiences that aren't maybe as responsive as I would prefer are the gigs that I'm pretty much just doing for the money anyway.
Yeah.
I don't take a gig that has the potential to be that unless it's pretty lucrative for me. So sometimes that might be say a gig where I'm set up in the corner of a restaurant or a brewery where nobody is maybe
What kind of their background?
specifically there to see me. They want to
Yeah.
have conversations with each other. And that's what I remind myself.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid though. Like,
You're getting paid.
I'm going to go home with money and
It's a paid practice.
this ain't bad.
Not that you really need practice.
Talking about
all that
practice?
much. Not
Yeah,
that
it's
you really
a
need
good
paid
opportunity for me to
practice.
try out new stuff and take a chance on some that I might not otherwise. And sometimes I find some real gems like that. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, really, perspective, like we were saying earlier, we're sitting on a dock right now. I mean, it ain't that bad if I'm just playing a gig and I wish people paid more attention. That's not a terrible problem to have.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Perspective.
With almost everybody that I've interviewed so far, we've all said we have the best jobs.
Oh,
We really do. We get to, like in my case, I get to just hang out and talk to people.
yeah.
And when I'm not doing that, I'm doing the thing that I love the most.
Yeah.
Singing, performing.
Yep.
So I'm
Agreed.
grateful. We're really
Gotta be.
blessed.
You got to be grateful.
We have to be. So you stayed closer to home to spend time with your daughter. How do you navigate the tension between the demands of a music career and being a father?
Well, she plays, and I try to make sure that I book some shows she can come to every year. She's not old enough to, get into everywhere yet, but try to invite her and involve her as much as I can. She plays guitar, and so she's interested in it. She got interested in it from a young age. I'll have to send you. She will certainly not want it aired, but I put her in front of a microphone in the studio when she was 4 years old and just let her make up some lyrics and stuff. And so I've always kind of had her involved in it. And I wanted her to grow up seeing, for better or worse, this approach to life, which contrasts to a lot of other things that, that she's exposed to see that, this is a thing.
Yeah. This is
that you can do for a living.
Yeah, this is a real job.
Because I didn't have any exposure to that being a viable career path when I was a kid, and it's nobody's fault. It's not like anybody did anything wrong. I just wasn't really aware that there was anything between playing in your living room for fun or like being on the radio and being on the TV and being rich and famous. I didn't realize that there was any type of middle ground.
Right.
Where you could pay your bills and be comfortable and be happy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when we're young and we're looking at what we want to do, of course, the first thing we say is, I want to be a rock star.
Yeah.
I want to be famous and everybody knows who I am. I have all this money coming in from my music. But we also didn't know that there are snakes out there.
Well, also,
some of those people aren't getting paid.
That's what I was going to say. Basically, nobody has, quote, all this money coming in from their music career anymore. I've got some friends in some bands that tour internationally that are like, I'm not going to say household names, but, very well-known bands that sell out very big rooms. And they don't make anywhere near what you'd think they do.
Oh, yeah.
And it, again, perspective and gratefulness. I mean, that really helps to hammer home, and reassure me, honestly, that I found a nice little groove for myself.
Yeah.
And I'm doing okay. And I might never be famous for the stuff I write. I also don't need that for validation. So the grass isn't always greener. So the notes aren't always greener on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And there's so much extra that comes with all that fame and the status and money. And there's so many more problems that come with that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And not that I have any, but I got the problem part. Let's just say over the running part, I don't really have either one of those. But, I mean, I can tell you just with like just like people recognizing you, and I'm nobody. But, you know, the amount of people that want to talk after shows, and man, I don't know that I would really enjoy it at that level.
Right. At some point, like if you want to go to the grocery store and get your groceries, I can't imagine having paparazzi following you around. You have to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even on a smaller scale, like even
Yeah.
let me give you an example on a local scale. There was one time I was working on something and I'm like covered in paint or grease or something, and I need to run to Home Depot and grab something. Somebody stops me in the aisle and was like, "Hey, Tommie John, let me get a picture."
And here I am
Yeah.
covered
And
in
I
paint.
like, yeah. Like, man, come on. And it's not like that doesn't happen often,
But
but
they do catch us in
that
the
was a
wild.
pretty, like, you know, pretty inopportune moment for somebody to want to do that. Of course I did, you know, and I was like, don't you dare tag me. But again, perspective and being grateful. Like,
Yeah.
how cool is it that that happens to me, even if it
Even if I'm covered in paint.
little, yeah, even if it's not the best moment for it. And,
Yeah.
but that's cool. You
It
know,
is
that's
cool.
awesome. And like I had an interview in a newspaper a couple of years ago where I got horribly misquoted on something.
Oh no.
It was an accident. Like, you know, it just stuff got,
Wires were crossed.
yeah. And, you know, I wasn't mad about it, but that sucks.
Yeah.
It had me saying someone died who didn't die, but I didn't say he died. It,
Yeah. I get
but
that.
anyway, so I felt bad for my friend who I killed in this article,
Oh no.
but I didn't say that. But anyway, I had that moment again. I'm on the front page of the newspaper. What am I like? I can just call that guy and apologize.
Right.
Like, why am I getting bent out of shape about?
On the
You know what I'm
front
saying
page.
about somebody caring enough to get
Yeah.
over for the newspaper? Like, yeah, just keep that in perspective. It was an honest mistake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do. And things can get twisted really easy because what it's kind of bizarre to think about how differently our brains work. Everybody thinks a different way.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, sometimes you find people that the way they process life is similar to yours, but for the most part, we all have completely different ways
it's
of thinking.
it's a valuable lesson to learn, and it really changed my perspective on the way I deal with everyone.
Yeah.
To really like not just like you can say the words and somebody could go, yeah, I get it. To really internalize the understanding that we're all wired differently, and for the most part, we all think the way we do it is
Is best.
either the best way or the only way, right? And so few of us consider that other people have different thought processes, you know, and different priorities. Once you really internalize that and you're able to consider other people's perspectives more sincerely, I think it really helps in your interpersonal, you know, dealings.
It definitely does. And that
Because
really
nobody knows what the best way is. We're
no.
all guessing. We're all figuring our way out through
We are
this.
ants on a rock.
So you were asking me about my path earlier. I don't know. Nobody does. I don't think anybody does.
No.
You might have
Goals.
goals, you might have
Yeah.
aspirations, you might have things you know you want to do, but I mean, really being in the moment is all there is, right? I mean,
Yeah.
let's
That's
see where it
exactly
takes me.
right.
You know, I know which direction I like for it to go, but
We know we have goals and we know that we
only cards I get to play are the ones I get dealt.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. You can't
It's true for everyone.
it definitely is. So what do you think about picking an independent artist for us to listen to?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Can we do it?
Welcome back. We are here today with Tommie John. Thank you for tuning in on Radio KCM or streaming platforms, wherever you are listening to us right now. I'm so thankful for you listeners, and I am thankful for you, Tommie John.
Thank you for joining me on my dock.
Yeah, thank you for having me over on your dock. Thank you so much. So to thank you, I'm going to put you in the hot seat.
Let's do it.
For those who do not know, the hot seat is a this or that, yes or no, or short answer question game where my guest has to answer my questions as quickly as humanly possible. You ready?
Yes.
Buddy Guy or BB King?
BB King.
Solo or full band?
Full band.
Bluegrass or soul?
Soul.
Cover songs or originals?
Both.
Key
I like
West-
to make cover songs sound like originals.
Oh, yeah. Key West or Amsterdam?
Ooh, Key West.
Studio or stage?
Stage.
Etta James or Aretha Franklin?
Oh, man. All right. We'll go Etta on that one. You got to, yeah. We'll go Etta. That's tough, though.
200 shows a year or 20 really great ones?
I'll take 200 of every variety possible. There's going to be 20 great ones in there, right?
Oh,
There's got to be.
yeah. There's got to be at least.
Yeah.
At least 20.
Exactly.
The show you will never forget.
Show I will never forget. The most recent one that comes to mind, like I said, I toured with a band called Homemade Wine for a few years. We released 3 or 4 albums, 2 while I was part of the band, and traveled all over the place. And there was so many memorable shows of that band. But we did a reunion show in Gulf Shores back in October, and it blew me away that people took their vacation time and flew in from all over the country to hang with us. And it wasn't, I mean, it was to see us perform the music again. I mean, this is after 10 years of not being a band, you know,
Yeah.
we're not doing any shows at all, but it was more about us all spending time together again.
Yeah.
It was really about the connections and the relationships that we formed with these people, every bit as much as it was about the music. And that was really reassuring and validating and encouraging that all those years that we, you know, might have slept in a van or on somebody's couch or somebody's
Oh, yeah.
floor, at, you know, all that grind, all those relationships were really real and really meaningful. And being on stage and looking out and seeing all those faces from all over the country that traveled there to see that and be a part of that with us, I'll never forget that.
I'm sure. That's incredible. What a wonderful experience to have. Especially like you said, you went through all that grind with those people. I'm sure there were times that you all scraped together your last coins.
You like, well, and down to like, you smell feet and you like immediately know who took their shoes off. Like when you spend that much time with people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. We know all about that. What is a song that you wish you wrote?
Oh, man. Lover, You Should Have Come Over by Jeff Buckley. I think it might be one of the most beautiful songs. And part of the genius behind it from a music nerd level, there's like 23 chords in that song.
Oh, my God.
And it does not listen that way at all. It doesn't feel that way. It feels very familiar. It feels very consonant. It's not jarring or off-putting. You don't even notice until you sit down and try to play it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, there's a lot going on here. And I think that's a certain level of achievement, you know, to be able to pull it off in that way. And I mean, also it's just Jeff Buckley.
What is a cover song that you'll never get tired of playing?
Honestly, I Want to Dance with Somebody is one of those for me. And because of the way I approach it, it just came on the radio one day. And for whatever reason, you know, it's a bubbly, happy, up-tempo song that makes you want to dance. But for some reason, the lyrics stood out to me that day. It came on the radio. And I thought, wow, these lyrics are dark. Like, this is really sad. Like, nobody will dance with her.
You're right.
You know, she's lonely. And I thought, what if I do that song, the way the lyrics read? Like, if you never heard the music, if somebody just handed you the lyrics, what would you come up with?
Right.
And I love sharing a unique take like that with people.
What does Tommie John know now that the kids stuffing G.I. Joes into a Yamaha never could have imagined?
You just got to keep doing it. You just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And things aren't always going to shake out the way you dreamed or you hoped. The doors are going to open. Doors are going to close. You just got to be prepared and you got to be flexible and confident enough to take the next step when it presents itself.
Yeah. So, Tommy, what is the single most important piece of advice you would give to an independent artist who is trying to build a long-term creative career?
Believe in yourself, believe in your gift. You really got to believe in yourself and believe in your path and your talent and your gift and what you're meant to share.
Yeah.
And it really helps to do it with others. It really helps to build connections and relationships. And that way we can all uplift each other.
Yeah. That's wonderful advice. Where can everyone find you?
Tommie John, Tommie with an IE, TommieJohnMusic.com. And if you just type in Tommie John with an IE into Google, you'll find me everywhere.
Yeah. All the platforms.
Yeah.
You'll find him everywhere.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for today. Thank you for driving the point home that networking is key in this industry. And thank you for just being awesome.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Josie. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm grateful you've been here. I had so much fun with Tommie John. He's the perfect example of what it means to build a career by working together instead of competing. His story proves that taking the long way around, even if it means playing bass or backing up other artists for a while, can give you the skills and confidence you need to finally front your own band. I really loved his thoughts on helping others out. He reminds us that instead of keeping secrets to ourselves, we should share what we know with the next generation so they don't have to make the same hard mistakes. If you take one thing away from Tommie's story today, let it be this. Sometimes you just have to suck at things until you don't suck anymore. True success comes when you believe in your gift and actually get out there and shake hands and make real friends. I want to give a huge shout out to the independent artists that we featured today: Elijah Wyatt, Cherokee Hope, and Brady Turner. Remember, you have to put miles on your soul to write the real story. As always, I'm Josi J, and until next week, your time to evolve starts right now.
Can we do